I wanted to talk about the 5th District. As many of you know, I was running for the 5th District in New Jersey. I lost the primary against Frank Pallotta. The thing here to keep in mind is there's two things I want to talk about with this race. It's very important, of course, for all of our races across the country to win so that we can avoid what happened with this impeachment nonsense from the last 2 years, and B, we can push the America First agenda forward. So I mean that's reason one, which is kind of like a blanket reason across the country. But the other reason why, and again the technical advancement that we have, Frank Pallotta, and I apologize for not having it set up, but we just the way things work sometimes just don't go your way.
Can
So
you just
Frank,
put that up, James, and I'll talk to Frank to do an interview? Hey,
so
Frank, how
maybe
you doing?
so maybe we
I'm
can get
waving.
Frank to come out. You can find him at his website is pallottaforcongress.com, and you can find him at Frank Pallotta, New Jersey. His phone number is 201-783-8801. Just a couple words about this. This
Well, did you just
campaign.
give out his cell phone?
No, that's the number on his campaign.
Oh, okay.
So the idea here is that what I want to keep in mind is, the guy he's running against. First, let me talk about Josh Gottheimer. 2016, Josh beat Scott Garrett, who was a Congressman Scott Garrett in the for
Solid
5th District.
Republican.
Solid
as you can
Republican. He had a lot of very good conservative ideas, and he fought the conservative fight. And he was a great guy to have in Congress to represent us. But he lost in 2016, and he was replaced by a guy who ran as a moderate. Now, to say, I would not even try to give an analogy. Josh Gottheimer is simply not a moderate. In any part of the planet, he is. You can see that he is not a moderate. He voted for 87% of the time. He voted in line with AOC. So in other words, whatever AOC voted for, you could see Josh faithfully following her around and saying yes, ma'am. And when it comes to Nancy Pelosi, 96% of the time he was faithfully following her around, Nancy Pelosi, and saying yes, ma'am, I'll vote the way you want me to. So this is a guy who is not a moderate. We know that Nancy Pelosi is the far. She sits on the left, and we know that AOC sits way out there on the fringe left, and supporting the Green New Deal, wanting to destroy our energy economy, wanting to destroy our economy in general, so that they can remake it into their socialist model and destroy our country even further. We know that that's the agenda of the AOC, Nancy Pelosi wing of the party, and we know that what Frank is running against is that in Josh Gottheimer. But it's even worse because Josh Gottheimer has $11 million. He spent up and has in his bank about $8 million in his bank, and he spent total $11 million in his or $3 more million in his campaigns. And so this guy has so much money that he's got stashed into his campaign bank, because it's not his personal bank; it's a campaign bank. Where does he get all this money? Listen, it's a $170,000 a year job, right? $170,000 a year job, maybe, and I've done the math because I ran, it's about $2 million race. A $2 million race is what it takes in order to run in this 5th District. Before Josh came along. Before Josh, it was the $2 million, which is pretty average. It's probably a little bit more expensive because of the area and the high cost of advertising. But $2 million, this guy's got 8. Where does he get $8 million in a district that can't support 2? I got to tell you, John, one of the things that disturbs me and has disturbed me about a lot of the politicians out there, Josh is one of them. Where do you get all this money if you're supposedly not doing bad things? Where do you get it? Obviously, he is, and let me put it out there. He's obviously got some kind of dirty dealings, and we know for a fact that he's deeply connected with Bloomberg. We know he's deeply connected with Schumer and a number of other Wall Street clowns. The Clintons. He's very connected to the Clintons. Very good, and he's very connected to them. And he's got a brother-in-law who's wealthy in his own right. So this guy is filthy with money. And the fact is, when you get right down to it, it's going to take more than just money to defeat this guy. It's going to take heart. And I think Frank can demonstrate that when he gets down there, if he can get Josh into a debate and he can really show him exactly what it is that he has inside, the metal inside. The idea here is we need to defeat Josh. Josh has got to go. he is a part of the cancer on our country, because what he has done and what he primary, because he had a lot more money, and because his candidate, I don't really know too much about his candidate, but I'll tell you this: Josh is not the guy we need to represent anybody in Congress. He needs to be taken out. He is so deep state. He's the kind of guy we gotta um, ruining our country because of his policies. Well, yeah, there's very little that I can say that I disagree with on Frank. I'll tell you one of the things that I do agree with him on is that he wants to lower taxes. He wants the America agenda first, and he wants to hold China accountable, as well as fight back against this nonsense we see destroying our cities. Again, run by the Democrats, these cities. And so, I think, another big thing he has is term limits and pay cuts. Cutting back on what these Congress people get paid, and demanding that they have term limits. These are the things that I agree with 100%. So when you get out there, Fifth District, send some support, send some love to Frank Pallotta, and vote